Thanks for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. You can find us wherever you find podcasts or listen to music. When you have an opportunity, please give us a 5-star review, write a little note, tell us how we're doing. We really appreciate it. It helps us keep this thing going. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us at Facebook at Hidden Tracks. Instagram is at HiddenTracks99, and if you'd like to send in submissions or talk to us or give us any feedback about what we're doing, our email is myhiddentracks99@gmail. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show.
Unfolding as we come on the air. 500,000 Americans have now been put on alert tonight. Many of them have already evacuated. Hundreds of homes destroyed. The death toll rising. Smoke now obscuring the sun for 1,000 miles. Tonight, 3 American cities now with the worst air quality in the world. 3 dozen fires burning in Oregon. All of them barely contained at this hour. Dozens of people are missing. And now those emergency evacuations widen tonight. 1 in 10 people in that state alone on alert to move.
What's up, everybody? I am lucky to have the band Swiss Army Wife here today. I have a majority of the band here, so we are going to make sure we don't muddy the waters with everyone jumping in and wanting to give all their answers immediately because, I'm sure everyone's going to have to think about some of their answers. But we're going to start this off first by me saying thank you to everyone, Ellie, Kade, and Tim, that were able to join us today. And I'm so excited to talk to people that I love their music, and I'm excited to help promote a band such as yourselves and get people a little behind the curtain of what Swiss Army Wife is. So I don't know, Kate, if you want to start and give us your superhero origin story about how Swiss Army Wife came together, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. So I moved to Oregon after college, and someone in Oregon had heard of a band I played in prior for a while. When I moved to, they had already known my Phoenix band. They were like, hey, we should maybe try to do something out here. That was really cool. We got together and met Tim, was our first member outside of this original, this bassist, who is no longer with the band. And then we started kind of playing for a while. Pandemic obviously kind of turned the music scene upside down, wherein no music was happening for a while. And as we were coming out of that and shows were starting to happen again and DIY spaces started to exist again, we started playing around, and actually we're fortunate enough to kind of bump into bands that Ellie was playing at the time, that John was playing at the time, and we formed this kind of weird little super group of cool Portland bands, at least in my personal canon. Um, and there you have it. It was, yeah. I think the best of what Portland had to offer at the time, if I could be incredibly immodest, came together and decided to make weird, fucked up dancing music together.
Nice. So you decided to break up a bunch of other bands to start one band. So yeah, I see where that comes from.
Okay, yeah, we're
Yeah.
we're 50-50 because
Uh,
Ellie's old band did break up. John,
about
our bassist, is still hanging on to the other band.
no, my band lasted about 3 weeks after I joined Swiss Army Wife. It was over.
Well, every good origin story needs a foil. So it sounds like, just going around and picking people from bands that you liked was,
Mhm.
I guess, a good way to start. I mean, you have, for lack of a better term, pick of the litter, and Swiss Army Wife becomes a thing. When you did all finally come together as a cohesive unit, and tomatoes were stopped being thrown by the other bands that you broke up, was it
Mhm.
pretty seamless for all of you to like just start working and coming up with songs, or was there a lot of work behind it?
Um, I I guess I can kind of jump on that one. Um, I think that there's still a lot of work behind it, but it's also been like a relatively seamless process. Like I know for me, like when I joined, I was like the last of the current lineup to join up. So I was just kind of writing leads over songs that were mostly already written. Um, but like those first songs, most of what ended up being medium gnarly were things that Kate and Tim had written together before John or I joined the band. So it was a lot of like learning their styles through learning those songs and through writing and adapting our parts for that. And it's really just been like since recording medium gnarly and starting to work on new things that we've really begun to do like this whole writing process together, where we're figuring out how all of the all of our different influences and styles operate. So yeah, it's like it's a little bit of both. It was a smooth beginning, and it's still a work in progress.
Agreed.
With
Agreed 100%.
with the influences, does everybody have, like, Tim, do you have different musical influences than Cade and Ellie and John when it comes to what you're listening to and what you're thinking you're bringing to the band at that time?
Yeah, I would say so because I listen to a lot of. I don't really listen to as much of our genre as probably most of everybody else in the band. I'm listening to like jazz. Like currently today, I was listening to Mariah Carey "Emotions," like that cassette.
Oh
So
yeah.
like I'm all over the spectrum.
All right. Well, we don't have to answer one of our questions later now. But yeah, so Mariah Carey, good for you. Okay, no judging here. Um, Now, when you search for inspiration and influences, especially now trying to create new music together as a different entity of where this started to where Swiss Army Wife is today, Cade, are you still trying to pull from what the foundation of Swiss Army Wife was when, you drop your first EP, Dog Mom, to where you're moving forward now?
Wow, that feels like a different lifetime. Yeah, I think I'm pulling from slightly different places now. Um, I think I was still on my musical journey. I was still at a place in my musical journey where I was pulling from literally whatever. It was it felt like the only thing I could make was just kind of generating that, and whatever came out was what I was doing. Whereas now I feel like I've absorbed enough influence and had the fortune of interacting with enough talented musicians to kind of take a more active role in what I'm generating. Like, oh, I want to produce a song in this zone, or I want to try to pull like from this zone in my influences to try to generate, which has felt really nice. Generally speaking, though, I think I'm listening to a lot more post-hardcore now than I was at the time. So that's definitely pulled my songwriting in some interesting ways that I've appreciated.
Well, I think what's so awesome about music, and I think a lot of times it gets lost on a lot of people because there is just so much at the fingertips to go and find stuff, but the library and the wealth of knowledge you can pull from listening to, some pop from the 50s to pop in the 60s and 70s, and just see the transition and how music derives from different places, but kind of always has that uh, formula to it that just creates sounds and gets people pulled into it. And I don't think we all, as people, go back far enough to pull from where it all began, right? But it's just right there. But we're all trying to keep up with what's going on today.
Sure. I mean, there's like every moment of this conversation, I'm sure like so much more music has been generated that I could ever consume, which is wild. I think the internet age is equally awe-inspiring and terrifying for that reason. Just there's so much content and it's available to you all the time within seconds. But the converse of that being there's so much content available to you at all the time, and within seconds that yeah, it can be overwhelming, certainly.
Does that get into your guys, like everyone's head when you're creating music? Does that kind of stuff that you have to worry about, that there's so much other stuff out there about getting lost in the shuffle, kind of like, do you feel that, or is there no thought of it when you're actually sitting down and creating? Whoever wants to take that one.
I
I'm
think
sure
like
there's.
go
Yeah,
you
go
Tim,
ahead.
go for it. No, you're good.
I was gonna say I'm sure there's some thought of it, but I'd say when we're actually like creating the music, we don't ever really think about it. It's not till like, oh, this stuff's done and out there. It's like, not as many people might not hear it, but it's at the end of the day, that's never really hey, this is the front thought in our head.
Yeah, it's essentially exactly what I was going to say. It's not really part of the creative process. Like, obviously, we want people to hear our music. We want as many people to hear our music as as we can get it to. But like, I don't remember if this was right before we recorded Medium Gnarly or like right after, where we kind of just had this conversation where we were like, what do we want as a band? Like, what is it about this that like really matters to us? What are our goals? And like the like big overarching ones, as I recall, were like release a record that we're really proud of and tour with our friends. And we've done both those things at this point. So like now we're just writing songs that we think are fucking good, and we're going to keep on touring with our friends and keep on putting out music that we're proud of. So there's always that, that possibility of things getting lost in the shuffle, but we've achieved what goals we set for ourselves. So like it's all just like, fuck yeah, we get more from here.
It definitely feels like we are in the Kickstarter stretch goal phase fully, which is incredible. I think like Ellie said, any goals we explicitly set for the band early on, we've been able to do. So now everything else feels like an incredibly cool bonus round. Um, yeah, it's been wonderful.
Well, having goals is an extremely important thing. Which at first, when you start a band, it's really hard to have goals. It's a lot of times it starts as fun, right? It's hey, you meet like minded people that you can create with, and then when it becomes serious, like, were you able to feel that switch in yourself, Kate? Like when you're like, all right, I really want to do this and I want to keep this thing going. I mean, it hasn't been that long, but in a manner of speaking, it's been a very long time from, where you were to where you are now.
Yeah, I think like expectations are strange in that I can say definitively this is by far like the biggest project I've been involved with musically. Also by far it like I'm biased, but like the best and definitely the most fun and um, filled with the people I care the most about outside of just musical creation. But I think I have to like look back at where I was maybe 2, 3 years ago, and I think that person would be shocked with what this band is doing now. Like it's like being able to play a festival in the Midwest, like being able to tour with friends and have people show up and know our music already. All these things would be something I couldn't conceive of like 2 years ago, even. And it's so shocking. I think, yeah, it's I don't know. And there's kind of like a general disconnect again in like the internet age of music. you see a bunch of like numbers go up and like algorithms do stuff, and it's like, oh, cool. But I'm still like going to work and doing my normal day. So I think it's the moments where you're like out and seeing people freak out with you in person that are the most impactful and definitely the most that has stuck with me.
Yeah, without a doubt, it's those moments that matter. It's not the numbers you see blinking on a screen. It's the moment, the life, the actual feel you get is more important than any fucking blip or number that comes up on a screen. So glad
For sure. There was like
you enjoy
there
that.
was yeah, there was one moment in particular. I'm thinking of one moment in particular now. We played this festival called Coachella, which is kind of a just a festival of bands in our genre, like in the DIY zone, like smaller end of the genre. And it was incredible. It was like a weird homecoming that we'd never been to the town, but everyone was there. Everyone, we were friends with everyone, knew a bunch of other bands there. But the person putting on the festival made trading cards of each of the bands and each of the band members. And this, like, obviously, is a weird surreal moment of looking at yourself on a trading card, and then that's compounded by asking to trade for yourself, and the other person saying no. Like they're trying to collect your band's cards, so they won't trade you. And it was, yeah, it still feels surreal looking back on it.
I don't think we ever even found anyone who had my card.
That was,
No.
yeah,
Rare. Yeah,
You could have a 101, Ellie. You never know.
that's
You could
true.
be the rarest one out there.
The mythic rare Swiss Army wife.
that feels appropriate.
Yeah.
Now I want to get into your your true musical journeys as individuals, and I'll start with Tim. Uh, when did music become a part of your life that you started to take notice of it? Like when you're a child, for I always go back and I tell people, my musical journey started with me hearing the Beach Boys at 6 years old and knowing that it was different than anything else I heard before, and just started me down this rabbit hole to where I am today and just absolutely loving all things music. Do you remember your first moment, Tim, when you caught on to something that just pulled you in that was different than anything else?
Well, I did music at a really young age. I used to play cello and stuff, but once I started playing drums, and like the first time that I really heard, I hate to say, Jimi Hendrix play the Star Spangled Banner at the Woodstock Festival, that shit
Mhm.
blew my mind. And then from then on, I was like, I need a drum set. Let me get some drums and start playing. The first band I was ever in was a Green Day punk cover band. And I was
What was
like
the name of that
trying to
band?
play that fast. We didn't have a name. We just kind of were like a Green Day cover band. We played at a church. One of the stipulations to play there was we had to go one Sunday a month.
Signed a deal with the devil?
Yeah,
So a
pretty much. But it was
Christian Green Day
awesome.
cover band.
Like my first ever metal band, we recorded our first ever album on cassette there. It was awesome.
Nice. How about you, Kade? What was your first initial moment to notice that music was different and kind of suck you in?
Sure. There were like two moments, I think, for me that kind of combined to make that. The first being I was given an allowance when I was younger, and I promptly went to um, this local, like, kind of like, I don't know, like goods and like music store thing. It was strange, it was small town stuff. Um, and I bought two CDs. I bought Daft Punk's Discovery and I think Ocean Eyes by Owl City. I was like, wow, music's so cool. I can buy music and own music. And then I think the more formative experience was my English teacher in high school gave me a bunch of CDs that she had listened to and enjoyed a lot. And of them, one was Dookie by Green Day, and the other was Alphabetology or whatever it's called by Captain Jazz. And I was like, oh, music can also be really cool on top of just something I could purchase.
Well, that's an awesome moment when someone hands you, I mean, a Cap and Jazz CD. I mean, Green Day was on the radio, but Cap and Jazz is not something you're going to find, anywhere. It's legends of the game, the Kinsellas and Davey Von Bolen and from Promise Ring, and I mean, for someone to hand that off to a kid that's pretty fucking spectacular. I mean, praise to her for doing that. That's fucking awesome. I love that. That's amazing.
I'm still shocked by it that that CD made its way into the hands of, at the time, like a 60-year-old English and art teacher in small town Idaho. She could have handed me anything, and it would have, I think, pretty radically shaped my musical journey. So I'm incredibly thankful that she handed me that CD, among others.
That's I fucking absolutely. That's one of my favorite stories so far. Out of 195 episodes here, that's amazing.
Shout out, Miss
Love.
Mowry.
Shout out to her. Ellie, how about you?
Yeah, so I was always pretty surrounded by music growing up. My dad worked at the local public radio station, and so he always had to have the radio on to like monitor in case anything went wrong. For context, this is a super rural, small town Alaska, like an island in the middle of nowhere, where the nearest other town is 40 miles away on a different island. So like the radio is like the main thing people used to know what was going on, especially in like the 90s as it was then. So there was just music on in the house all the time, and like my family was pretty musical, so it was always pretty present for me. But I don't think it like really like clicked as something where it was like, oh shit, I want to do this. Until my older sister came back from like a drama meet and brought back My Chemical Romance's The Black Parade. And like at that point, I was listening to like Linkin Park and like I think there was like a System of a Down CD in the mix, and like it was fine. I enjoyed it. It was what it was. But then I heard the Black Parade and I was like, oh shit, this is like something else entirely. This is like dramatic and sassy and like dark in a way that like 12-year-old me has never experienced before. So from that on, I just like got so obsessed with them in particular, with My Chemical Romance in particular. They were just like my life for a few years until I finally picked up guitar when I was like 14, 15. And the actually my older sister also introduced me to the next band that like just like totally changed the trajectory for me, which was the Blood Brothers, because she was doing this like little like kind of just like jamming with friends, and they were doing a cover of Love Rhymes the Hideous Car Wreck, and so she was like, yo, this song is crazy, you should check it out. And I did, and that was, I think, what actually led me to go and buy a guitar. So I was like, this does not sound like guitar music, but it's guitar music. This is the most chaotic thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And it was just like a rabbit hole from there. That was the first song I ever learned how to play on guitar. I like, yeah, I just these like weird punk bands that got passed to me from my sister expanded things for me.
Yeah, well, you need a a helping hand sometime in a journey when it comes to music, and I mean to be in the middle of nowhere, Alaska, and get some obscure thing like the Blood Brothers, which for people who don't know who they are, you described it extremely well, Ellie, when you said chaotic. I mean that's what they are. To get something like that in your hands, I mean these are no wonder why you guys are so good. These stories are wow. Blood Brothers and My Chemical Romance, which I have a love-hate relationship with that band, but
Everyone should.
yeah, and listen, I always say I give them tons of credit for what they did, for what they were doing, and I'm so happy they did what they did because so many bands came out of who My Chemical Romance was. People got into music because of them. As my friend said once, to me, I was like, I don't get it. Why does everybody love this fucking band? And he's like, listen, you know how you grew up and you have Face to Face is like your favorite, is like your Beatles to you. My Chemical Romance is the Beatles to, my brother who's 10 years younger than me. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess it makes sense. I'm like, I get it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it just hits in you just at the right time. It just like triggers something in your brain where all of a sudden this whole world expands. It's they're just one of those bands that does that for people. And they've done some pretty cheesy like garbage music in over the years, honestly, but like the bangers bang, and it's like I'll always love them for the silly little goofs they are.
Yeah, and I think I kind of had to hate them because they were from my backyard. So it's like, they're from the town over, and it's like, oh man. I think it was, basically to have a rival anyway, rival high schools and stuff. But
Hell yeah.
Sure.
so from that moment, let me continue with you, Ellie. When you're going to get your guitar and you're in Alaska, I mean, how was it to find other people to play with? And when you started to play guitar, did you rush out to find other people to play with?
It was rough. I had friends who had also just kind of like picked up guitar, but they didn't like they were just kind of doing it to do it. They didn't really like care about it in like the same way. So it was a lot of just playing guitar by myself for a long time. I think my friends and I tried to jam once, and like it was just such a disaster that all of us just swore it off and moved on to other things when we were hanging out together. The only time I really played music, like that kind of music with other people before leaving for college was this art camp I would go to in the summers. It's like a week and a half, 2 week long thing on a different small town island. Um, and like one of the classes that you could take there was like rock band class. So I met some friends through that, and we would, yeah. So then we started writing songs there, and kind of continued doing a little bit of back and forth, just distance, sending guitar tabs back and forth afterwards. Um, but yeah, there's not much of a music scene in small town Alaska, unfortunately.
Yeah. What was the name of the first band you were ever in?
Blastoise, like the Pokemon.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Not bad.
God
All
damn,
right,
that's so
Kate, how
much
about
cooler than mine.
well, that's what we're getting to, Cade. You're up next. So when you started to play music, what was it like to run out and find people to play with? And again, what was the name of your very first band ever?
Oh boy. Sure. Yeah, there was one music store in our town that held instruments and music and like some records, cassettes, CDs and stuff. It was kind of like everything that was related to music store. This is small town Idaho, I think 5,000 people. Um, and I went after I think like I'd already been listening to a bunch of music, but I think Enema of the State was the final straw for me. I was like, all right, I can do that. Like I can play that. That doesn't sound that bad. Sure. So I grabbed a guitar and was like, and learned how to play Blink nonsense very easily. It's like, all right, cool. Um, this is the only music I know how to make, so I'm gonna force one of my friends who was in choir, who already kind of knew how to play guitar through his dad. Made one of my friends learn drums, as you do. Made another friend learn bass, as you do. And we just played a bunch of what was essentially Blink covers with different lyrics. We were called Warp 96. It was a mistake for everybody. And we played our high school graduation, and that was like our only show. And people thought that was fine. Still friends with two
Well,
of them, would not, absolutely not pick up instruments near them again.
I think the common theme too that I get to run down with people, and that I think is so as big as bands got, like a Blink 182, like a Green Day, the 90s were the era of music where I said so many bands that started at that time and created stuff that was so simple and so easy got so popular, but it also created so many more musicians, because I think it was one of the first times in the musical landscape, from the first recording ever to when you got to the 90s, where it was like, hey, I can do this too. Like a kid could be in high school and be like, I could do this too. It's not that complicated. You weren't doing guitar licks. You didn't have fucking Slash fucking doing solos, and you didn't have all these crazy solos to compete with and drum fills. You don't have a Neil Peart who no one can compare to, and everybody be like, I can't play drums. Like hearing that, I think it bears, a lot more love in the musical community, instead of, sometimes people getting shunned for liking bands like that. But it's like they created a Blink, a Green Day, a Nirvana, those types of bands. I don't think music would be where it is today, and I don't think so many people would be in the music without them.
Agreed.
Absolutely. I think yeah, having those bands that are represent like low barrier to entry and still sound fun are huge.
Yeah, Travis Barker, when I was younger, he was one of my inspirations because he's really into marching, drumming, and I was in the drum line, did all that stuff. But he brings it to drum set, and some of his fills are still to this day. Like I don't understand how he does his left hand the way he does it.
When you started playing drums, Tim, and were you just trying to keep that simple beat, or were you just trying to be like, I want to be a drummer because of this one specific thing, and this is how I'm going to do it? Or was it always a constant, figuring out, doing more? How did he do that, and wanting to do that as well?
Well, when I first got the drum set, like I was just playing like standard rock stuff, but then I discovered like heavier stuff. Avenged Sevenfold used to be like my band. Like, oh my god, I love that band. The Rev inspired me to go that day to Guitar Center and get a double bass pedal, and then I proceeded to learn every song they ever had. Like, it was amazing.
After learning all of that, was your kind of push towards metal and going to find other people to create that sound with as well?
Pretty much my desire and my guy that I started playing in the punk band with, we just started playing faster and heavier and just started getting as many people around us that we could. There was like a small group of kids at school, as you could guess, that played metal, listened to metal, and of course we sought out everybody in the younger grades, even like who can play guitar, who can play bass. Trying to find a bass player is so hard. That was like the downfall of so many of my bands in high school.
Well, it's usually the drummer that's the hardest to find too.
Oh, right.
What was the name
They're
of
a
your
hot
very
commodity
first
too.
band, Tim?
Silence Calling.
Not terrible. Not
Yeah,
terrible.
we did a lot of pig squeals and a lot of death metal and really, really slow breakdowns.
Hell
Better
yeah.
than Warp 96.
Thank you. Yeah, we can make if we can make like a tier list really quick.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable saying that is at the bottom.
Yeah, from the beginnings that all of you had to where you are now, and as you stated earlier about being able to go on tour and playing shows and playing in front of people, uh, Ellie, do you remember your first ever live performance that you had in front of strangers?
Sure. It's kind of tricky. I get if we separate it into like guitar music and other music, it's a little bit easier. It's like I didn't really play shows in like before going to college or like perform in that way before going to college because there weren't really opportunities to do so in Wrangell, Alaska. But I did study music in college, and so I was performing in front of strangers all the time in the classical sphere at that point. Um, but the first I don't know, like music that one could relate to like Swiss Army Wife. That my first performance in that sense was at this festival my college would put on every year called Woolapalooza. And I was playing in this. I guess it was also kind of a metal band. It was definitely a metal band. We were called Charlotte's Dread because our guitarist's name was Wilbur, and so we were always making Charlotte's Web jokes to him. In retrospect,
That's
just
hilarious.
not, yeah, pretty rough. But
Yeah.
we just like performed on like this like big stage on like the quad for the like 50 liberal arts students who decided to show up at that particular time slot at 10 in the morning to listen to this metal band that had rehearsed once or twice ever. I was just doing vocals at that point because I wasn't trying to play a Protest the Hero song and sing that because I can't even sing that shit. But we covered a Protest the Hero song, Raining Blood, and we did like one original um, that I had been trying to write lyrics for like months and had nothing until like the morning of. And I was like, all right, I have this piece of notebook paper. This is just like the stream of conscious that I have right now. We're just gonna go for it. And it was kind of windy outdoor stage. I like set it down for a second. I think to like grab a bottle of water or something. Note with all the lyrics just like flies off far into the distance. And so I'm just like making up syllables and just trying to make my screams sound as nasty as possible so that nobody can tell that I'm not actually saying words. It was a little bit of a disaster, but it was also just like super fun and did not kill my enjoyment of performing,
You're,
thankfully.
you're scat screaming. I love it.
Yeah, I mean that was what I was doing. I was in a jazz choir. We literally had to scat for grades, so I guess I had some practice.
That's awesome. How about you, Kate? How about your first ever live performance in front of strangers?
Oh boy, I was about to talk about the high school graduation I mentioned, but it was a town of again 5,000 people. There weren't really strangers there. I think my first one in front of strangers, I had this band in Phoenix called Poster Parents, which I had graduated from like a Blink-182 ripoff to a Joyce Manor ripoff, so much more refined, scrappy pop punk. And I think probably one of our shows there, we played a couple venues that were somewhat notable. I know one, I only remember the venue because I had seen Andrew Jackson Jihad there like a week before, and I was like, "Oh, this is so cool! We're basically famous for the 15 people that were there." But they were at least all music fans and people I didn't know, weren't related to me, and cared a little bit about alternative music. So it felt big at the time. That would have been like, geez, like 2017.
Nice. Tim.
Well, mine was probably my buddy convinced his church to have a metal festival, and so we got some bands to come, and it was crazy because we had some bands that should not have played in a church, and as soon as they saw us like started thrashing and stuff, it got real fast once they saw the pit open up. Needless to say, we weren't allowed to have shows there anymore after that.
I completely understand, but there are some, Christian metal bands that are pretty big in the, you know, in the
Oh,
metal world.
definitely,
So,
definitely, especially down south. Like I'm from South Mississippi. Like where I went to high school, that was the big thing. There was a lot of Christian metal.
all right. So I want to see if this is different for now that I have three of you here. If no one has ever heard of Swiss Army Wife, and you only get one chance to basically show them who you are. I always liken it to sitting down with Clive Davis and he says, "Okay, you got one song you can play me from your band. What song are you playing me?" Kate, I'll start with you.
Shit. Okay. Elevator pitch. I think maybe this is really hard. One of our split songs, "What Nietzsche Wanted."
Last time I checked, we were all gonna die. Please not get to burn out by your side. Someone keep the tired, it doesn't add up. I'm always tired. I'm stepping it up, feeling inspired. Trying to drug, just wanna ride.
Only because it does a little bit of everything we do. There's like some heavy chord stuff, there's some rapid twinkly stuff, there's some group shouting, um, there's references to dead philosophers, pseudo intellectualism. It's kind of a love song. It touches everything we do, I think, at least in one track.
Okay. Ellie.
Uh, this number is no longer in service.
Don't call me after hours. Don't call me. Loose threads will be devoured. Space fills up. I need to take long showers with a glass of. Hey, when someone's trying to reach you, maybe it's somebody that you once knew. Don't seem to recognize the number. Commitment slowly seem to drag you under. Just stay behind. Yeah, you'll be fine. Just stay inside.
Like it's the opening track of the record for a reason. It's got fun riffs, it's got drum fills, it's fast, it's about being sad about having to go to work. Um, there's multiple vocals going on, and it's really short. I feel like that's about as close to an encapsulation of our sound as you could get.
All right. Tim.
Yeah, I would have to agree with Ellie. I was gonna say raccoon eyes, but then Ellie reminded me after as soon as you said that, I was like, yeah, because it shows the energy. It's so fast, it punches. Yeah, this number is
Wow.
such a good song.
I I have Raccoon Eyes as one of mine written down here. I have Raccoon Eyes and CBS at 7.
Hell yeah.
Oh, sweet. I remember being really, really excited about two things for that song. One, it was like a fun vocal one for me personally, and also there were passages where I didn't have to play guitar and I could pretend to be a real singer, which felt great.
Well, I thought we were all going to have different answers, but Tim, you ruined it. So, would you also say that what you just picked, because these are always two different types of, I usually feel that they're two types of different things. Like, Kade, would you say that that's your favorite song that you've ever released, or is there a different song that's your favorite that you've created?
Oh, for sure. New Best Friend's probably my favorite. I don't think I'll ever write a chorus that matters more to like the song means a lot to me lyrically. And I don't think I'm gonna write a better chorus in my life, maybe. And if I have to live feeling that that one was the best one I ever did, I'm okay with it. I will come to terms with it. But no, I definitely have a very soft spot for that song.
All right. Tim, is that your favorite song?
Yeah, because this number is one of those like kind of fluke things. Like it was just like an accidental drum part one day, and Kim's like that right there. Let's try that again, And it's just a random thing that was just happened, and it just worked so well. And that song is so fun to play live for me.
Ellie.
I think for me, it's got to be Your Bathroom, which I feel like is kind of the sleeper. Um, I, I think a big part of it is just like nostalgia for the song. Because like when I auditioned for the band, that was the song that like I like learned and like wrote a whole new part for, and so that was like my immersion into Swiss Army Wife. Like this is the sound. This is uh, how I want to write over this sound. And at that time too, like the segment of emo that I was into um, was a lot more of like the clean, like twinkly, not as like heavy, punky side of things. So having like a very like emotionally bare and dense, pretty song to just like pour all that like initial creative, I want to join this band energy into. Just really like sealed that one in for me as an all timer.
I
Nice.
also always appreciate how Ellie says auditioned for the band. Like we didn't hear her and immediately think she was like going to be the most talented member instrumentally.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't
No,
like other tryouts. There was just us going like, all right, so she's in, and we gotta like talk to her about getting to practice as soon as possible, right? Yeah, okay, cool.
right. Like before Ellie even joined the band, I was like, oh my god, this guitarist. Like seeing the what was the Mount Zena? That was my favorite local band before. Was watching you shred on stage was amazing.
Oh, that's very sweet. That show. So we played right before I joined the band. We Swiss Army Wife played a show with my old band Mount Zena, which was kind of like a I don't know noisy hardcore band.
Yeah, it's the
Um,
band that Kade broke up, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, that breakup
Ugh.
was far more involved. But yes, like we played a show together, and that was like easily one of my favorite shows that I ever played with Mount Zena, and in no small part because like it was my second time seeing Swiss Army Wife. It was the second show we played together, um, and I remember like the first time that we played together, I was standing like it was in this place called Plant House. They had a garage behind their house for some reason that like opened to their backyard. It was bizarre, but I guess that worked for them. And that so they would throw shows there, and it was for like the four shows that they ended up throwing before they got shut down. It was like the spot. Like you'd have 150, 200 kids showing up every single show, if not like more sometimes, to the point where it was kind of like, oh shit, this might actually be getting kind of dangerous. But the point being, I was hanging out with my Mount Zena band members like around the side of the house from where they were playing, and I was like, oh shit, this band kind of sounds like Braid, and just I had Braid was like one of the first emo bands that like just like clicked for me, and I was like, oh, this is the best shit I've ever heard. Um, so then that other show came around, I was so excited to play with them, and they killed it. My mic stand got like totally fucked up during that show, and I think Tim held it up for me the entire time, which was very sweat because I didn't even do vocals in that band, or maybe he was holding it up as the singer. I felt
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it
I was
was
holding it. I was holding the mic stand up with my foot, and then trying to head bang with the other stuff, but
yeah.
actually hold it in the.
And that was a Halloween show, so we were all costumed up. Cade was
Yes.
Princess Peach. Tim, were you Waluigi or Wario or no, fuck, were you Luigi or Mario?
I think I was Mario. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, I
if
was
I could jump
Mario.
in here really quick as well, I remember I did not know Ellie's name at the time, but they were very easily identified because they were dressed up as Wirt from Over the Garden Wall, and I just kept referring to her, to my partner as, "Oh shit, it's Hot Wirt wandering around the
Hell
party."
yeah. That's exactly how I want to be known. Yeah, that God, I hand sewed that cape during the pandemic on like the Halloween 2020. Spent like 12 hours putting this thing together, watching all the Halloween sound movies with my partner. Um, yeah, that was a fun show. Hat did not stay on for more than 2 seconds of the Mount Zena set. But just like seeing like Swiss Army Wife play at that show, I was like, this is a great fucking band, and I'm so glad that they're in the scene with us. And then like a week later, y'all posted on your Instagram like, we're looking for another guitarist. Like, does anybody want to audition? And I remember talking to my roommate, and I was like, who was also in Mount Zena, and I was like, like the band we play in is kind of a bummer, and like neither of us are enjoying it. Like what if I went and played in this other band and they were like, yeah, this is the kind of music you listen to all the time. You should just like fucking do it. And yeah, so I messaged them and set up a little audition and played Your Bathroom, and it was fun. And here we are.
Yeah, that show also a very special place in my heart to me, because I heard very distinctly of the three people doing coke in the bathroom at the time. Oh shit, Swiss Army Wife's about to play. Hurry up, dude! Like speed the line up, bro. We gotta go.
Hell yeah.
Oh, the memories. All right. Let's go with what was your first concert you ever saw, Tim?
Man, I I'd say the first thing they used to have in Mississippi like big crawfish boils, and so they would have a big crawfish boil at the fairgrounds, and so you could just imagine a whole bunch of people just hot in the sun all day drinking Bud Light, eating crawfish. But they had like 3 Days Grace, Stained. I saw POD, which was sick. Like, that guy's hair is 3.5 feet long dreads. Like, it was insane.
Wow. Not bad for your first show ever. Kade.
Live in fear of questions like this. My first concert I went to was actually a festival called Creation Fest, the biggest Christian rock festival in the Pac Northwest. Really good. And the band I was most excited to see there at the time was America's beloved Christian pop punk band Hawk Nelson. Was my first show.
Wow.
Nice.
Oh, man.
I'll let you
What a
redeem
time.
yourself. What was the first one you got to pick to go to then?
Okay, that's a way better question. I think it would have been Fiddler. It was the first show I saw after moving to Phoenix, and it was great.
All right. Nice.
Much better experience.
Nice. Ellie.
Super embarrassing. It was Macklemore. It was 2010, and I was visiting my cousin in Seattle, and she was like, "Oh, me and my friend are going to this show. Do you want to come?" And I was like, "Okay, sure." I didn't know who was playing. Showed up, and it was Macklemore. It was fine. And then like a year later, Macklemore blew up, and now I have to live with that being my first show.
Listen, it at least you got to see someone that blew up, right? I mean,
That's true.
Did he play thrift shop?
I couldn't tell you, and I feel like the reason that I can't is because my perception of that song is like so distorted by the fact that I also embarrassingly participated in a lot of a cappella in college. And there was one group that had this arrangement of Thrift Shop that was done by like a composition student who turned into this like Baroque fugue. And so whenever I think of that song, I just hear this like polyphonic multi-voice version of it. So I don't know. I may have seen it live before it blew up, but I couldn't tell you.
well, listen, that's not a terrible thing. And it's hard to remember something that you didn't know you were seeing in the first place, right? So it's always hard to remember what you saw. And it's, I'm along the lines here with Kade. My first show ever was Kenny Rogers, the gambler.
Hell
That
yeah.
was my very first concert ever. So
What was that experience like?
So that experience, I was a little kid, and my sister, for some reason, I don't know why, my sister was 4 years older than me, but she absolutely loved Kenny Rogers, like was in love with him. And she's a little girl. And I don't know why she loved him, but my parents decided, okay, we're going to go see Kenny Rogers. And I'd never been to anything before. Music really was just what I was listening to, which was the Beach Boys as a kid. And I go, and the thing that I'll never forget is the woman next to us pushes past us, runs to the stage, throws her bra onto the stage, and comes back. And I just look at my mom and go, why is she throwing underwear around? Are we allowed to do that? And my mom was like, no, we're not allowed to do that. And you'll understand later. Don't worry about it. And that was it. Like that's the one thing that I remember the most about that.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Kenny Rogers of all people.
I've never thought about that.
Well, this was like, I think this was like 1983 or 1984. So he was pretty fucking big at that time. I mean, but
That's
yeah,
fair.
that was, it was a eye-awakening moment for me. And now if I see a woman take off her bra, I have a much different perspective. So
Fair.
Yeah, I mean,
was gonna say, I don't think-
an amazing original song for the Tigger movie in like 2003. That was like my jam when I was however old that I was when that came out. So respect.
Yeah. Was that your first musical experience that inspired you to take off your bra? I think I was gonna say for me, I don't think that his music would inspire me in such a way. I was trying to think of bands that would inspire me in such a way, of which there are a few, but maybe some of the American football reunions I would have gotten there after a couple drinks.
I'd
But
say dark.
which American
When I
football
see the
team is it?
darkness, yeah, when I see the darkness, I want to take my underwear off for some reason. I
Hell
don't know
yeah.
why.
That's understandable.
All right. So listen, here's one that it's very different. I always look at it as bands that never let you down. Like I have like two bands in my life that when I don't know what I want to listen to, they're the two bands that I always turn to listen to because I know I'm never going to be let down by when I listen to it. I always say Rolling Stone categorizes it as your favorite band. I lean more towards bands that never let you down. So like Tim, do you have a band in your life that you constantly turn to that just never lets you down when you need something to listen to?
Yeah, I'm probably torn between like a Vin Sevenfold and then like Led Zeppelin, just because I grew up listening to a lot of classic rock on the radio, of course, and who doesn't love some Zeppelin?
No, I did a 10-hour road trip where I listened to absolutely nothing but Zeppelin. Every Zeppelin song ever created was listened to on that road trip. Never went to anything else but Zeppelin. And it was one of those experiences where I was like, I don't know what I just did. I don't think I could ever do it again, but that was fucking amazing.
That's awesome, man.
Kate, how about you?
Joyce Manor's Never Hungover Again. Specifically, that record will not tire for me and gets put like anytime I'm sitting in my car before I drive, not knowing what to do. If I can't decide quickly, it's Never Hungover Again by Joyce Manor. Alternatively, if it's the summertime, usually Algernon Codwallader.
Wow, nice. Ellie, you're up.
Braid, The Age of Octane.
Mm.
Just, my baby smokes like that. That as like the intro that sets a mood that nothing else can ever touch.
Such a great, like, amazing band. Having the opportunity to see, like, I saw Braid in '98, and then I got to see them again last year, and I was just like,
Oh
this
my
is like that
God.
full circle. Like, fuck yeah, this is so awesome. Like, I left a music festival, call my buddy who works the door at a place and been like, dude, I'm leaving the music festival now. What time is Braid going on? And I don't have a ticket. He's like, don't worry, just show up. I was like, all right, cool. And like, I was already sweaty. I was at a summer fest and I'm sweaty. It was hot out, and I just like walked in, and they're about to go on. So I did a music festival, drove to another place, saw Braid, and I was like, this is the greatest day ever, and went home. Like that was just awesome.
Hell yeah! No, it doesn't get any better than that. I'm still devastated that they didn't come to the West Coast or at least like the Pacific Northwest on their Frame and Canvas
That's what it
tour.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just broke my heart. Bob, Chris, if you're listening, you gotta.
Yeah, we'll send this to Nana directly.
Yeah.
Hey, you hear this? Yeah, I had another moment like that too. I was I went to see The Darkness at Asbury Lanes with a bunch of friends, and as we're walking into the Asbury, there's another place called the Wonder Bar here in Jersey, and I see on the top it says Chamberlain tonight, and I was like, wait a minute, I didn't know about this show. So I go watch The Darkness, and I'm leaving, and I was like, ah, they're probably already done. Walk in, they're walking on the stage, and I get to see The Darkness and then Chamberlain. Like, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? This is the greatest fucking thing ever. Like, I got so lucky in like 1 year of being able to do that to two things that I love the most.
Hell yeah.
All right. World's going to end in 5 minutes. Meteors crashing into the earth, and you have to listen to one song before life fades away. What song are you listening to, Tim?
Oh man, probably like I hate the way out of left field here, but like Love by King Cole, Nat King Cole. Like I kind of love that old timey stuff sometimes, you know?
I love that you picked that. I love Nat King Cole. He's current rotation in my music listening. So
Nice.
Cade.
Oh no, I was like, this is my end of the world moment because I had like a 30 seconds to scroll through my Apple Music thing and could not figure it out. Okay, just gonna pull something from inside. Maybe also this is kind of a throwback, but probably "Wouldn't It Be Nice" by the Beach Boys. I think would be like I would go out on a high note personally.
Nice. pandering to the host. I enjoy
There we
that.
go. Good. I mean, you gotta get some pet sounds in there.
Ellie,
Uh, Giant Swan by the Blood Brothers. It feels apocalyptic. Might as well be dramatic about it.
That's a good point.
yeah, I listen. I love where everyone went there. We're all over the spectrum here. And enjoy that. I enjoy that. All right, so I already know Tim's guilty pleasure. So he brought up listening to Mariah on cassette today. Now I'm just gonna move right on to Kade. Something that you listen to that people will be really surprised you get a lot of enjoyment out of listening to.
Okay. Love 100 Gex. My partner doesn't understand, which is fair, but I think they're kind of like having a moment where that's accepted. I'm trying to think of a band that is worse. God, this is really hard. Guilty pleasure band. Oh, absolutely. I have like a soft spot for the pop girlies, and Carly Rae Jepsen does do it for me.
She's a queen. That's why.
Thank you.
She is a an unfound queen of pop. She's got those hits. I'll give them to her.
Absolutely.
Ellie.
Sorry, open for. Oh, sorry.
You're good. I think for me, it's got to be Milton Babbitt. I'm a sucker for the weirdos who, at the advent of electronic music, were like, "What if we use this to make sounds that never should have ever existed?" The most terrifying thing anyone could ever imagine. And then Philomel by Babbitt comes out. I love that shit.
Nice. So we're coming in on our time limit here. So before we move on to our final segment, which is where Swiss Army Wife popped up some episodes ago, I'd love to give whoever wants to throw out everything it is that you guys are doing, how to find what Swiss Army Wife is doing, all your handles and all that jazz, so we can keep up with everything new and exciting from you guys.
Sure. Yeah, first of all, shout out Chance for shouting us out. We love you. For what we have coming up, we are about to embark on a tour along the West Coast with our dear friends, Aren't We Amphibians, here at the beginning of March. All of those dates are posted. So if you check out our social media, you will see them. We're very excited for that. Speaking of our social media, you can find us on Instagram at Swiss Army Wife Band, on Twitter at Swiss Army Wifey. I think we technically have a Facebook.
Sorry, Ellie. It's x.com. It's x.com.
I quit. I will not call it that. What else do we have? That's what matters the most. You can find us anywhere streams are sold. ReallyRadRecords.com. Shout out to Gardy and Ollie, our biggest champions. Yeah, we're recording a couple songs at the end of the week that people will hear before you even know it. So keep an eye out for those too.
Nice. All right. Well, we're moving into our weekly 3 segment. It's 3 things you're listening to that you would like people to check out. So we got a lot going on here with 3 people. So let's. Who wants to start?
Okay, I think I actually have this one. I'm ready.
Go.
Okay, so from the classics, a lot of Q and Not You, specifically the album No Kill, No Beep Beep. Got that weird, fucked up hardcore. Kerosene Heights, our buddies from the East. Their record, Southeast of Somewhere, has been on permanent rotation for me since it came out. And I think last but not least, our pals Mauve, right from here in Portland. They put out a fantastic record earlier in 2023 that again is still on constant rotation for me.
Nice.
Yeah, I definitely second the Mauve thing. And then I'm new to a lot of the bands in our scene, so I recently discovered Bing Quad, so I've been listening to them a lot.
They're awesome.
I only got 2.
That's fine. Makes it easier on me.
Lately.
All right, Ellie.
I have been listening to a ton of Nothing Feels Good by the Promise Ring. Always worth revisiting the classics. Got to shout out Del Paxton as well. Put out Autolocator last fall. Fucking great record.
Yeah,
everything they've ever released has been immense. But
they're awesome,
that
and Dylan's awesome too. So
hell yeah, yeah, incredible band. And then I also have to shout out Art Amphibians. I'm listening to a ton of them ahead of tour, so I can blow my voice out before all of our sets and not be able to sing at all. Shout along to them if you like twinkly riff laden emo with big sing along choruses and some sassy little trumpet every now and then. They are the band for you.
nice. All right. My three for this week. First one is a band called Dawson Gamble. Name of the album is Hopeful Youth. It's indie pop rock out of Canada. Absolutely been crushing it. I don't know. It's when music hits you, it hits you at the right time when you least expect it and you need something. And that's awesome. Number two is a band called Prize Horse. Name of the album is Undersound. They're from Minnesota. They're like post rock, like in the vein of maybe a Jawbox or Abandoned Pools. And last but not least, band called the what is it? Yeah, the Astronautics. I always get caught up on trying to say it because they had to make their name kind of confusing to say. It's the Astronautics. We Came in Peace for All Mankind. Pop punk emo-ish style of music. So those are my three for this week.
Hell yeah. I've been meaning to check out that Prize Horse record for a minute. I think this is finally going to be the impetus to get me to do it.
Yeah, no, really good. Corey Kaufman from Wonder Years produced it, so it's pretty spectacular.
Hell yeah.
But everyone, Ellie, Kade, Tim, I want to thank you all so very much for being here this week. Thank you so much for creating the music that brought us together to do this show and helps us continue to do this show when we are able to find awesome bands such as yours that we feel need a little bit bigger of a pedestal to stand on, so you can start coming to the East Coast and play some shows here so we get to meet in person and rock out and have fun together. So thank you guys, all of you, for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks for having us. More on that East Coast thing before you know it.
All right. Well, everybody, you know what time it is now. It's time to go out, listen to Swiss Army Wife, and have a great fucking time.
Little raccoon eyes staring at me from the edge of the tree line. Outside the old friend's house where we got drunk and practiced archery. Cigarettes circle our house, guests talking in the backyard.
Thanks again for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. We hope you enjoyed this week's show. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at HiddenTracks99. Also, send all your submissions myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Tune in next week. You may find your new favorite band, and don't forget to go out and have a great fucking time.